The year began with Armenia becoming an official member of the Eurasia Economic Union on January 2, joining Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. Kyrgyzstan joined later in the year. In the early days of January, tensions in Karabakh intensified. Throughout the first half of the month, there were hundreds of ceasefire violations. 4 Azerbaijani soldiers and 2 Armenian soldiers were reportedly killed, along with 1 Armenian civilian. On January 12, in Armenia's second-largest city of Gyumri, a shocking multiple homicide shook the country. 6 members of the Avedissian family were shot dead in their home during their sleep. A Russian soldier stationed at a Russian military base in the city, Valery Permyakov, has been charged with the murder. The lone survivor was 6-month-old Seryoja, who succumbed to his injuries and died a week later. Armenia saw a different kind of tension in February, an internal political feud between Republican President Serge Sargsyan and Gagik Tsarukyan, leader of the prosperous Armenia Party. Sargsyan initiated the feud on February 12 with a statement that was essentially a denunciation, making derogatory remarks about Tsarukyan, calling him an evil for the country and declaring that he would be removed from the National Security Council of Armenia. Tsarukyan responded and accused Sargsyan of stealing millions of dollars from the people, stating that he considered it to be the biggest job of his life to free Armenia from the evils of Sargsyan's regime. Gagik Tsarukyan eventually stepped down as leader of the prosperous Armenia political party and left politics altogether. In March, the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity was officially launched by the co-founders of the new 100 Lives project, which celebrates those who helped Armenians during the genocide. The international spotlight shone on Armenia in April, the month of the genocide centennial. On April 8, Kim Kardashian, her husband Kanye West, daughter Northwest, and sister Chloe were greeted as dignitaries upon their arrival in Yerevan. They came to shoot their reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Kanye West gave a surprise performance that ended with a spontaneous jump into his swan lake.
Like we always do it this time!
On April 12, Pope Francis, in a Holy Mass at the Vatican, said that the slaughter of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire was the first genocide of the 20th century and said that the Armenian cause is a cause of justice.
Essa ha colpito il vostro popolo armenio.
On April 15, the European Parliament overwhelmingly voted to pass a resolution urging Turkey to come to terms with its past. The resolution was supported by all political groups and repeated the language of a similar resolution from 1987. Back in Yerevan on April 23, System of a Down frontman Serj Tankian in an exclusive interview spoke with CivilNet. Later that night, the band performed a free concert to tens of thousands of fans, and Tankian took the opportunity to advocate for other political issues within Armenian society aside from the genocide.
But we shall, as survivors, as a nation of survivors, we need to meet every government eye to eye, equally, without ever being a client state of one country or another. We've come a long way, Armenia. In 20 years of independence, we've come a long way. But there's still a lot of fucking work to do. It is the responsibility of the Republic, the government of the Republic of Armenia, to bring in the principles of egalitarian civic society. Getting rid of the institutional injustice abound, and stopping the depopulation that is occurring.
On April 24, hundreds of thousands of Armenians were joined by presidents and dignitaries from around the world at Dziternagapert, the genocide memorial in Yerevan, to officially commemorate the centennial of the Armenian genocide. While Turkey was flustered by prominent voices all over the world urging recognition, hundreds gathered in the heart of Istanbul for a 5th annual commemoration of the genocide. Many diasporans flew in for events in response to a call from Project 2015. Going beyond recognition, on April 28, the Lebanese-based Catholicosate of Cilicia filed a lawsuit to the Turkish Constitutional Court requesting to regain ownership of its church's historical center in Sis. which was a major Armenian Christian holy site that was looted and confiscated following the genocide. This marked the first time such a lawsuit was filed reclaiming historical Armenian property in Turkey. On May 9, Armenia's national pavilion at the 2015 Venice Biennale Armenity won the Golden Lion Award for the best national presentation. The pavilion was dedicated to the centennial of the Armenian genocide and featured Armenian artists from the diaspora.
Armenity is a word that doesn't exist in English. We have invented it. Comes from a French expression, armenité, which is a way of being in the world, which is how we are, with all our different controversies and our different way of being, living in different parts, and in the same time keeping this same soul everywhere we go.
The summer of 2015 was energized by Electric Yerevan. The protests began in response to an unanimous decision on June 17 by Armenia's Public Service Regulatory Commission that would increase public electricity prices by August. Protests escalated after initial clashes with the police spread around the nation and attracted tens of thousands in Yerevan. In the early morning of June 23, police used force to clear protesters gathered on Baghramyan Avenue. Dozens were injured, hundreds were arrested, and journalists were also targeted. By the end of June, President Sargsyan announced that the government would subsidize the price hikes, but protesters were unconvinced, maintaining that they would still indirectly carry the burden. Energy remained high in August when the 6th Pan-Armenian Games took place in Yerevan. For 10 days, Armenian and diasporan athletes united to compete with one another in 17 different sports. The athletes represented 175 cities from many countries. September arrived and tensions rose again in Nagorno-Karabakh. There were several deaths on both sides, including 3 Armenian civilians. The end of 2015 was marked by the constitutional referendum, which accepted a reform to create a parliamentary republic. The Central Electoral Commission claimed that about 50% of eligible voters participated and 63% voted yes. The results have been contested as over 1,000 citizen observers and journalists reported an unprecedented number of violations of the electoral law. In response, the European Platform for Democratic Elections labeled the results as illegitimate. The protest organized by the No campaign that took place in the weeks ahead of the vote continued in the days after. On December 7, just one day after the vote, the EU and Armenia announced an official launch of their new stage of cooperation. The EU cited the yes vote for the referendum as an important step towards advancing Armenia's democratic aspirations. As tensions on the border of the country continued to escalate, on December 19, the president of Armenia and Azerbaijan met for the first time in over a year. Mediated by the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs, President Serge Sargsyan and President Ilham Aliyev met in Bern, Switzerland, in the hopes of pushing the peace process forward. On December 22, Armenia's Defense Ministry spokesperson Artzun Hovhannisyan said that it is no longer accurate to use the word peaceful in reference to the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict regulation process. He pointed out, "We no longer have peace, all we have is a relative calm." According to Hovhannisyan, the recent developments on the contact line can no longer be branded as a breach of the ceasefire agreement, but have escalated into a state of war.